Hello, and it's good to have you join us again on Maritime Radar. The port plays a key role in connecting nations, trades, and economies. This has a profound impact on trade volume and transport costs. However, the sector is confronted with many challenges such as new standards and modernization to achieve international best practice, especially in the areas of security, safety, environmental management, port operation and services, the ever-evolving and changes in information technology, inter- and intra-regional competition, the ever-increasing size of ships, cargo handling equipment, and traffic growth, amongst others. Africa must have the ability to cope with such rapidly advancing realities in order to benefit from the trade opportunities. Addressing the several challenges confronting smooth port operations in Nigerian ports are some of the issues that will be on the front burner on today's show. I'm Nneoma Obi-Asualo. The port and shipping industry in Africa are facing emerging challenges such as growing freight traffic, environmental concerns, operational challenges, and other disruptions occasioned by the global pandemic and more of infrastructural challenges which are crucial to an effective port operation. Therefore, the urgent need to turn to technology and digitalization has become imperative. To survive, we must embrace the new normal to ensure efficient port and shipping operations, delivery operations, blockchain technology, drones, high bay storage system, data and analytics, digital exchange platforms are areas we must embrace. Before we get further into today's lineup on the program, let's find out the latest in maritime news.
Nigeria's seaports are largely deserted as nationwide protests demand an end to economic hardship and poor governance. The End Bad Governance protests, which began in major cities on Thursday, are set to continue until August 10. Cities such as Lagos, Abuja, Kano, and Port Harcourt are currently witnessing these demonstrations. As a result, port users are proceeding with caution, leaving the usually busy seaports unusually quiet. Despite a heavy security presence at key ports like Apapa, Tin Can, Onne, and Port Harcourt, operations have nearly ceased. Youth, students, and civil society organizations have taken to the streets across the country, calling on President Bola Tinubu to urgently review or discard certain economic policies that have exacerbated hardships for many Nigerians. Protesters chanted solidarity songs and criticized the APC-led federal government, lamenting that many Nigerians have been driven to poverty and frustration since its inception. The Nigerian federal government has raised alarm about its fish import bill, which totals 2.4 million metric tons annually and strains foreign exchange reserves. In the first 9 months of 2023 alone, fish imports cost 138 billion naira. To address this issue, the government is launching initiatives to boost local fish production. These initiatives will focus on locally designed technologies, improved storage facilities, and greater involvement of women and youth in the industry. Wellington Omoragbon, Director of the Department of Fisheries at the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, stated that the government plans to tackle challenges in fisheries and aquaculture, including dredging activities. Omoragbon also stressed the need for state and local governments to prioritize fisheries projects, particularly those supporting women and youth, who make up 70% of the population but lack sufficient support in the sector. He highlighted the importance of market and technology development to reduce reliance on imports. The government will sign a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Water Resources to better utilize the country's water bodies for fishing. Additionally, he acknowledged the skill gap in the sector and called for assessments to address specific issues in fishing communities.
The drastic drop in vessel calls into Nigerian ports has plunged operations in the maritime sector into a major crisis as businesses continue to nosedive, following the Forex crisis and inflation currently militating against the economy. Those affected are terminal operators, shipping companies, truckers, licensed customs agents also known as freight forwarders, amongst others. Consequently, the volume of vessel calls, that is the number of vessels coming into the country, has reduced so drastically that terminal operators and shipping companies are struggling to remain afloat. According to checks, there has been a drop of 4.5% in the number of vessel calls into Nigerian ports, from 3,957 in 2022 to 3,778 in 2023. Reports from the Nigerian Ports Consultative Council (NPCC) in its quarterly meeting show that the container traffic declined by 6.8%. For instance, cargo imports dropped by 20%, containerized goods by 30%, and vehicle imports by 55%. Vessels that previously came into Nigeria with 4,000 containers now come with just 300. I must say, these statistics are worrisome as an import-dependent nation. The same decline is seen in export. In this conversation with Bolaji Sunmola, Chairman, Nigerian Ports Consultative Council, he shares how we can address the myriad of port operation challenges and nip in the bud the looming loss of jobs and businesses. Stay with us. It's good to have you join us again on the show.
My pleasure to be with you.
Okay, let's start this conversation talking about your achievement since you assumed office as the chairman of NPCC in January.
Well, talking about achievement, I appreciate your concern to have come in that angle to me. It's still an early days yet. We came in January, and this is we're in July. We've only had 2 of our quarterly meetings. But basically what we have tried to do is to restructure and see how we can re-engineer what I met on ground, what our wonderful mentor left on ground, and see how we can do more than what it is. But of course, we are very, very restricted by the paucity of funds and funding, which is what we are trying to look at. But we are not making that to be our headache. The work still have to be done. But we have had 2 quarterly meetings now, and that comes without gainsaying with a lot of financial engineering and all that. But we thank NPA for their support so far. And we know we can do more. And if we are to go by the program we have laid down, what to do in the next 2 years, we have not started, but I'm sure we're in the track in getting to that.
Okay, so let's get back to the industry. I'm concerned about port operations, challenges around port operations. So what will you say about that, and what solutions will you be preferring to that?
Yeah, we've been hearing of this of late, port operations, issues here and there, synergies lacking. I think basically it's about synergies lacking within the port performance, within the ports community itself. The collaboration is not as what we are expecting it to be. The government has, on approval, said the port should be in operation for 24 hours. Are we having 24 hours operation? I doubt it. Because if we are having that put in place and that is effective, most of these hiccups or bottlenecks we are having should be quick.
So how then do we address this port operation challenge in terms looking at achieving ease of doing business, trade facilitation, blocking revenue leakages and all that? So how do we unbundle all that?
It all comes to the practitioner itself. Everybody within the port system must know their roles and performing maximally or optimally to what is expected of their deliverables. And I think before we go into that, let's look at also the government has directed for 50% revenue contribution basically from NPA and customs. I'm sure this will greatly impact on their ability to deliver what it is expected of them. Because don't let us forget that operation costs money. It costs planning. It costs many other things that people has to be encouraged. Empowerment has to be there. If we are going to encourage people to work maximally, so also they must be put to encouragement maximally. The equipment must be at their maximum output. Okay, all the issues surrounding to effect proper operations should be in place. So government directing that this is which is the second part of it, that government, MPA, whatever of them should be contributing 50%, should look at it, because this could impact into the ability to provide service delivery that will be able to ensure, enable such contributions into the coffers.
Earlier you mentioned 24 hours operations. So if our ports must be competitive, it has to be efficient. And so how do we go about achieving efficiency? Which one of them is what we've said earlier, 24 hours operations, which is not what we are having now. No port shuts down, but we see that happen in Nigeria. So if we must be competitive, we must be efficient. So how do we go about achieving efficiency in Nigerian ports?
It all comes to the fact that, okay, what are the shifting periods that are great? What are the working methods that are going to be put in place? What are the who needs to do what? Of course, we all know the maritime workers unions as a key factor into this area. Have they sensitized them? Have they put them in position to know that they can work around the clock, because they have their own guides too as to the
Well, there's a challenge of infrastructure. Maybe there's no light, and there's things have to be. I don't think maybe it's from the labor. If there's an instruction for them to work, I'm sure the more they work, they get more money. So do you think that Nigeria is ready, and Nigerian ports are ready for this? Do you have the right infrastructure put in place to ensure this 24 hours operations?
Yeah, I'm just coming to the issues of power to that. I mean, for God's sake, our ports should not have the issue of power. Power should not be a problem. We should be able to power our ports in this age and time without any issues, without any problem. Of course, there are other means of powering instead of depending on hydro. We know that we can do the other ways. Solar system is there, green energy is there, which has really opened it up. So we need to invest into that aspect. But the issue of manpower is what is more important. That is, we should be able to ensure that we are carrying them along. There should be a buy-in. Not that it should be just that, well, we are ready to work, they should fall in. Whatever it is that requires for them to be able to work maximally, to be able to bring out the best in them, we should look into that. That's what I mean by the workers itself is an important. Just like as you said, power too is important. You can have the power and not have the people to be able to do the work. Yeah.
Okay, is it worrisome to you? I did a report a few weeks ago, and looking at port efficiency in Africa, and Nigeria did not make top 10 in Africa. I'm not saying in the Taiwan, top 10 in Africa. Nigeria did not make the top 10. So is that worrisome to you? To that is that bad? This efficiency in the port, lack of efficiency in the port, is that bad?
Yeah, it is. It is, and it is worrisome in the sense that we are not what we are doing, because we have so much opportunity, we have so much markets to be able to tap in from, but Nigeria is not pulling its weight. It's important that the government should look adequately into this, so that we from the private sector, at least from the point of PCC, from the point of consultative, so we are ready to assist the government in ensuring that this is put in place, because we ensure that all the segments, all the various sectors within the ports system itself are harnessed and energized to produce maximally. What we are having is everybody doing their own thing in their own way. And it's not helping matters. Custom will decide this, MPA will decide this, before you go to the security, before you go to the NDLA, before you go to NAFDAC, before you go to SON. All of these things are issues limiting our service delivery, not to talk about the port environment itself, the port ecosystem itself. When we are talking about that, we are looking at the in and out roads that are covering our port system, the storage system, and the transportation system. All of these are limiting our ability to operate maximally.
Okay, still on the ports. How do we address the latest worrisome decline, the decline in the number of cargoes that call on Nigerian ports? We seem to be losing our vessels to neighboring African countries.
Yeah, that's a shame to us. We have, from PCC again, we've done a lot of study, and we're still having a lot of study. I don't know why the port of Lome and Togo will be more busier than Nigeria, but it's so simple. The cargo dwell time in those such ports compared to Nigeria are so short and faster. And there's good coordination within all the working system within the ports. So we find that charges are even cheaper and lower. And that's why most cargo or vessels go there to drop their vessels. And at the end of the day, most of these cargoes come into Nigeria, either through smuggling or whatever, and loss of revenue and destroying our transportation system. So it's important that we look into the entire relationship of all ports operators. I mean, when I talk of operators, not just MP, everyone, the shippers, the freight forwarders, the terminal operators, everybody should look into this holistically to be able to see where the problem is. For instance, now getting bunker in Nigeria is almost like it's impossible. But when you get to the Togo, what they call the Togo Triangle, you get your bunker easily and cheaper. Most people find that they do more business easily, faster and better in such areas. And most of the operations are dependent on cargoes coming to Nigeria. So why should they benefit? And the structures in Nigeria is dilapidating and not working maximally. It's important that we look into this strictly.
We are due for a break. When we return, we'll be looking at the looming job losses that is going to come out of this decline of cargo vessels. Then we look at customs revenue generation vis-a-vis the trade facilitation. But that will be after this short break. Please stay with us.
Africa needs its own storytellers, people who understand the continent because they're from it. People who know that news is more than just a conversation starter, it's our stories. Because these stories run deeper than headlines and segments. It's about digging deeper to get the facts and telling the human side of every single story, not just the echoes from foreign headlines and perspectives. It's time to take back our narratives and share them in our voices. The birth of Africa's New Age reporting, and this is where it begins, right here at News Central TV, with stories that put Africa first.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Maritime Radar, and I still have with me Bolaji Sunmola. He is the chairman, Nigerian Ports Consultative Council. Before we went on that break, we were talking about the decline in vessel calling at our Nigerian ports. So, what do you think about the looming jobs that might come out of this?
Oh, of course, certainly when we are losing the maximization and capacity of our port utilization, that means we are losing jobs, or we are losing ability to be able to provide services. Once we are losing ability to provide services, that means some people are not adequately engaged. In other words, they are laid off. This will have a direct and negative impact on our employment of our teeming population of people otherwise will have been engaged in one thing or the other within the port environment system, or even beyond of that. And of course, this goes beyond the port, only the port environment itself. We are looking at the industry's lack of capacity, decline in optimum production, loss of revenue, loss of taxes, the much expected government revenue. All of these are all issues that can come out of our inability to maximize utilization of our ports.
Yeah, but it seems that government revenue is exempted from all this. We're looking at customs revenue. They are reeling out amidst this, decline in cargo vessels. So so how do you put this vis-a-vis trade facilitation?
Let me say this, and I've been saying it in different quarters. I don't know why government puts so much emphasis on custom generating revenue. I don't think that's solely what they are meant to be. The other means, yes, there are funds or there are revenues emanating from the operations, but should that be the focus? Should that be the target of what they need to do? That's why I have so much desperacy in terms of a command, generate 10 billion, generate 30 billion. That's not their focus. Just like you said, their main focus will be trade facilitation. Are they facilitating trade? Because that's the entry point, that's the gateway for every kind of trade in Nigeria. And where it is being said, where it's being taken that they have set a target for what they must achieve per month. So no matter what it is that target that will be their priority. I think somehow we need to reorientate either the custom or government on this to say that it's about trade facilitation. The more they're able to do, the more we have in the economy.
Okay, help us rate the implementation of port community system. That is supposed to help position Nigeria in reaping the benefits of global trade.
Before I go into that, that is wishing too much. What have we done with the single window? That brings me back to that. Like I said, in different fora have had to talk. Over 6 months, we've had that the federal government has relegated the committee, and customs have been domiciled to provide this. What has come of that? You're still having a lot of dislocations in terms of interagency cooperation and collaboration within all the working community systems. We're finding, like I said earlier, our cargo dwell time is still the highest. We're having the issues of demurrage. People are complaining, and invariably this will tell on the cost of goods that are going to the market, that are going for operations and all that. So it's first is important that the mode of operation has to be fully put into operation. Let the single window operate.
And so, but I understand that there's a committee that has been set up in this administration. So how have they fared? They've not started doing anything, obviously.
Well, we've not seen the impact. I won't say they are not doing, but we've not seen the impact. Like I've been told from you, the taste of the pudding is in the eating.
So until we see the impact.
Until we see the impact.
Okay, is our port master plan capturing the infrastructural challenges that we see?
Yes, like I said, we plan very well. Our plan is as good as what it is, as good as the document or the paper we have. What about implementation? The problem we're having is implementation. Our port master plan, just like we said in the last quarterly meeting we had, and some of the discourse we have taken with some of the stakeholders, we should have a port corridor. There must be a port corridor, alongside all our ports. Port operating area. It must be a port. So the master plan, I don't think we have too much problem with it. It's the implementation. It's where you have someone that can, from one day or the other, go to Abuja and come back with a document and say, I have the approval of the president to do this, and which will impact greatly on the port operating system that we are having. So it's important that the operation of our plan is put in place and is operationalized to the benefit of what has been put on the document.
Okay, before I let you go, I must talk about the research and training department that MPCC wants to establish. I must say that is apt and that should be applauded. So, but my worry is, how do you address the fund challenges to be able to get this done?
Thank you for acknowledging that. Thank you for showcasing that. What we have found that most of the statistics we use within our country for development are sought outside. And we have, from PCC perspective, said this must stop. There's no way you can work if you don't have the right information. We are putting up a research and development arm of PCC to ensure that we have figures. We will not just be talking to government about issues, so that it won't be as if we are raising issues where there is no. We want to back it up with facts and figures, and this is what we want to start keeping. We want to be more like other European or foreign companies, whereby they back up with figures and actual things that were recorded as at the time of those reports were given. So our research and development center, the center which we are putting in place, is a serious thing. We've been talking about some eggheads within the community and operators within the community. So it's all encompassing. Everybody has a stake in it. The ship company has a stake. The terminal operator has a stake. The freight forwarder has a stake in it. Even the workers has a stake in it, because we want to see that we back everything we recommend or we discuss with figures. If we say the vessels are coming in, are we ready to take vessels? Do we have the warehouse? Do you have the road? Do you have the transportation? Do you have the delivery system to pick all of this? These are all the information that are necessary for us to compact before we can embark on any development that will sustain our operation. Then, on addressing the issue of funding, we are pleading and asking that we are going to the government to assist, to see what assistance they can give, ensuring this is done. We will tell them, in fact, that whatever it is that is granted us will be judicially spent, and we are open for them to come and check on us on how we have done it. It's our sincere plea. We should not leave all this workload to MPA to be carrying. I'm sure it's bordering on them. I want to ensure that this is diluted. And other agencies, I'm talking to them, the Master Shippers Council, we are asking them to please come and join us in ensuring that we put this in place to help our port system.
Our MPCC needs funds to do this very important task before them, because it's going to be suiting for me as a journalist to be able to have data to work with when I'm doing my reports. I say this is a brilliant idea to establish this, and I wish you well, and I hope that stakeholders, government will be able to support you in getting the funds that is required for this. But when we are talking about these good things, but time is not always our friend.
Wow.
It's been nice talking to you. Thank you very much for your time and your thoughts on the show, and I wish you well in this beautiful journey you want to take in establishing a research and training department. He's been Bolaji Sunmola. He is the chairman, Nigerian Ports Consultative Council, talking to us on port operations. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
And not on the show.
It's my pleasure to be with you. I look forward to the opportunity next time. Thank you very much.
And that's a wrap on this week's episode. Every week, join us on Maritime Reader as we explore how Africa can make a difference in ensuring the development of the maritime sector. You can also expect the latest in maritime news and industry insights right here. I'm Nneoma Obi-Asualo. Many thanks for your time, and see you again next time.